Welcome to Eat for Happiness. I'm Lisa, and for today's episode I'll be baking a savory cake with beet and goat cheese. I'll serve it with an amazing spicy chutney made of cherry tomatoes, and you can eat it for lunch or dinner. And this is what you need to make the cake. 3 medium-sized beets, 6 eggs, 160 grams of whole grain rice flour, a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of smoked paprika, a teaspoon of garlic powder, a teaspoon of honey, 250 grams of goat cheese, fresh thyme, 4 tablespoons of olive oil, and a handful of pine nuts. To make the chutney you'll need 400 grams of cherry tomatoes, a splash of olive oil, 1 purple onion, 3 cloves of garlic, a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, some salt to taste, a tablespoon of honey, a quarter of a teaspoon of red chili flakes, and a tablespoon of arrowroot powder. I found these gorgeous beets at the farmer's market yesterday, and that actually inspired me for this recipe. And I'll be using the entire thing, so the stems and the leaves as well. So stick with me to the end and then you'll see what I'll do with it. I start by removing the beets from the stem. And I recommend you don't use your pretty cutting board for it, because beets, they stain your board. And then I'll go ahead and rinse them. And then I'll boil them in water for, I think, 30 to 45 minutes, depending on how big your beets are. I prefer to boil the beets with skin and peel them later, otherwise they will lose the color. Now I'm going to preheat the oven, 180 Celsius, fan position. The 6 eggs in this recipe make it a true protein bomb. In 2 separate mixing bowls, I'll split all 6 of them. I always go organic with my eggs. Next, I beat the yolks until they get a light yellow color. And then I add the salt, garlic powder and paprika and give it a quick stir. And also my olive oil and honey. And then I beat the egg whites until they become firm and shiny. A quick check on my beets. When they're soft all the way through, then they're done. And now I let them sit on a counter for a little bit so they can cool. And in the meantime, my little monkey is helping me by sifting the rice flour into the egg yolks. And then we add the egg whites to the mix and gently combine everything together so we have a nice and fluffy batter. And now some more child labor is involved, because we have to peel the beets, and you can basically rub the skin up with your fingers. And this is his favorite part, greasing the loaf tin. Then I line it with parchment paper and we're ready for our first layer of batter. Gently spread a quarter of the batter onto the bottom. And then a layer of 1 thin sliced beet goes on top. And of course you could buy pre-cooked beets, but what's the fun of that, right? I like to go fresh whenever I can. And on top of that, we crumble 1/3 of the goat cheese. Feta cheese will work perfectly in this recipe as well. And finally some fresh thyme and a sprinkle of salt and pepper. But if you're using feta cheese, I would skip the salt, because the cheese is already salty. And then we can repeat the steps for the second and third layer. A layer of beets, some cheese, thyme and seasoning. On top of the third layer we spread our last bit of batter and then sprinkle with pine nuts. The cake goes in the oven for 25 minutes, and in the meantime I make a quick chutney. I sliced up 1 purple onion and 3 cloves of garlic and sauteed them in some olive oil. And then I cut the beet stalks in small pieces and I saute them with the onions. Save the leaves for later. The cherry tomatoes are sliced in half and added to the pan. Now let everything cook until the tomatoes get soft. Mix a tablespoon of arrowroot powder with a bit of water and add to the pan. Add chili flakes and salt and some apple cider vinegar. Balsamic vinegar works as well. And a tablespoon of honey. Let it simmer for 3 more minutes and turn off the heat. It's been 25 minutes now, so the cake is probably ready. Cake can come out and cool just a little bit, so I have a few more minutes for a quick salad. The salad is basically thin sliced beet leaves, cucumbers, apple, capers, purple onion, olive oil, lemon juice, and some salt and pepper. And this is how I like to serve my colorful beet and goat cheese cake. A couple of slices on a plate, plenty of tomato jam, and no meal without leafy greens, right? Bon appétit!